Welcome into Box Office Quarterbacks. We are finally talking about Obi-Wan, the complete series, season one, or the only season, whatever you want to call it. I am joined by my co-hosts, Gerald and Ahmed. How you guys doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we're pretty great.
Yes.
Yeah.
My dog destroyed his bed before this episode, so I'm a little bit frazzled. Um, but I'm picking it back up. I'm, drinking some caffeine, and we're going to get through it, guys. We are going to get through it because this show was fantastic. I thought there's a lot of mixed responses to the finale here, but as a 6 episode arc, I think this show did its job. It continued the stories of the prequels in a big way. And I think it made you really nostalgic to what we did see 10 years ago or 15 years ago at this point when we last saw these characters.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely. It was I think in the show it was set 10 years after, right?
Yeah.
yes.
So, and if I'm not mistaken, this is almost 20 years for us then, because Attack of the Clones came out in 2001, and Revenge of the Sith came out in 2003. So almost 20 years, and I think for me, it was just seeing James Earl Jones. Like, yeah, we saw Ewan McGregor. Yeah, we saw Hayden Christensen. But James Earl Jones. Oh, and then we saw, I guess we'll save it for the end, but we saw a special character from episode one. But for me, it was just seeing James Earl Jones back. That was the real nostalgia factor.
Yeah, having his voice back. 'Cause I think Hayden Christensen was still in the suit, but I know Jones was the one that did the voice up until a certain scene. That again, I think will take a few minutes before we get in there. This show was great. I will agree. When we discuss our ratings, I'll explain mine, but I think it falls a little short of what I really wanted, but it's still very great, and I'm going to give it what it deserves. But like, I still have plenty of gripes with it. And there's about three storylines or three things that have happened that like I'm a little questionable on after finishing off the series, and I kind of do want a second season at this point just to kind of maybe answer some of those questions.
One of the things I think they played really fast and loose with the canon here, and I mean the time frame that they're playing with is pretty short. It's 9 years before A New Hope happens, so you really got to be careful with like the relationships between Luke and Obi-Wan because I like Star Wars, but I wasn't aware that they knew of each other before A New Hope, so that was something that I learned. And then meeting Princess Leia, there's that factor in there. And then you factor in A New Hope when Obi-Wan does die, that she doesn't really have an emotional response. So there are some things that kind of bothered me, but I can get over it. One of my other big gripes of the series would be the lack of Hayden Christensen out of the mask. I would have liked to see, some flashbacks to the prequels and some of the things that we got in episode 5, but other than that, I mean, pick any scene in this series. I thought episode 2 throughout that whole chase sequence, I thought that was a fantastic episode, and obviously the final fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan I thought was one of the best Star Wars things I've seen in the last 10 years.
It's a fair
Yeah,
assessment. Go ahead,
I
Joe.
wasn't too sure about Third Sister storyline simply because it felt like everything that she ended up choosing was contrary to what we know about her character. A person so developed by grief, I guess, or surrounded by grief and revenge, that she will do anything and she'll kill children. And then all of a sudden, this one boy, she just decides, no, maybe not. Um, it just didn't. And then also, like, how does she survive after she got stabbed in the stomach?
Twice.
Qui-Gon Jinn would like to talk. Like it's not. It doesn't make any sense how she like. Not only did she survive, but she flew to another planet, and like at the end, like Obi-Wan, this deeply mistrusting individual, um, just trust that this lady that he knows a lot about, who's very dark, is gonna just walk off with the knowledge that could end all hope, like, and just let her go. so there was that, and then another thing Obi-Wan did, him having been rusty with the Force, didn't make a lot of sense. I think Jeremy John said it best. I watched one of his things recently, and Jeremy John said, um, oh, excuse me, I'm just blanking on. I just completely blanked on it. Oh my god.
You were talking about
No,
him.
yeah. Um, Obi-Wan had one job for 10 years, right? One job: keep Luke safe. And to do that, he would have to continue using the Force or being with it. How is he rusty? He had one job, and he said that's what he's been doing.
That's
So
He's
fair.
like,
been,
Yeah.
he's been chilling in the cave, man, hanging out with his like camel thing and going to work and whatever he was doing. Um, he was, just doing his own thing, I guess.
But to
yeah,
piggyback
yeah.
on that
So
whole third sister thing, I get it. It seemed like her character wasn't developed as much, and it was almost like it was forced, because we're here to watch Hayden Christensen. We're here to watch Ewan McGregor fight it out, and then we have this almost third wheel that's joined, and I wish they kind of did a little bit more, because her character is supposed to represent, susceptibility to the dark side in terms of how powerful and frightening anger is, because we can be so blinded by our rage, we may not see how we've become, to quote Obi-Wan, that which you were supposed to destroy. Um, and that's why the first thing Obi-Wan says to Darth Vader as Anakin Skywalker 10 years after seeing him was, "What have you become?" And then, right whenever Third Sister kind of is like, "I can't do this. I shouldn't do this," she asks, "Have I become him?" Speaking of Darth Vader, have I become him? And I just wish they could have done a lot more with it. But Jeff, I'm also on your side when you say, you wish you'd have seen a little bit more of Hayden Christensen, because I was happy for him that he got to be back, because it seemed like a lot of people never liked him, which, I don't know why, but it seems like he got to, finally have some love thrown his way.
and sorry to continue with the third sister conversation, but I just, with her, it felt like almost like she was the original villain until somebody said, "Okay, you can use Darth Vader." So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we're not seeing, like you said, to develop her character, and because like she has a main villain arc as the B plot. Like she is chasing down and she is learning big things about the future of this galaxy and this universe. Like that is big villain energy for a prequel, and they just took out a lot of it because I like her as a character. I just feel like I don't know what development made her go from like certain things to other choices. You know?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, any of the Inquisitors were not strong characters. Like Fifth Brother fell off the face of the planet after like episode 4. Never even saw that guy again. And the Grand Inquisitor, I mean, he was in Rebels, I guess, which I'm now starting to watch. So I guess we knew he wasn't dead, but um, he just all of a sudden shows back up again with not really an explanation. So that bothered me a little bit. I guess we're on gripes now, but the biggest gripe of this whole thing is, and obviously Darth Vader is gonna survive, right? But Obi-Wan leaving this dude alive again for the second time. He could have ended this whole story right there. He had him. He had him
Yeah.
dead to rights again, and then he let him go. That's
Oh
my
Yeah,
man.
I'm right there with you. Like, what is it about these freaking Jedi in this show that are just incompetent of killing other Jedi? First, Third Sister couldn't stab Grand Inquisitor to death because he came back. Then Darth Vader
She's
puts him in the fire so that he can kind of feel his pain, but even he couldn't finish that job. And then Darth Vader stabs his betrayer, but she's still alive. So it's like, okay, I don't understand what happened in 9 years where people just aren't dying.
yeah,
yeah.
like it makes Darth Vader's death look really sad. Like, and honestly, like also another thing, and this is actually, if we want to move over from gripes, something I really like about this, I feel like it made Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker feel more like Darth Vader than he ever did. there was
Yeah.
always that little bit of disconnect for me between like the Darth Vader we end up with in Revenge of the Sith and the Darth Vader we end up ever getting in the original trilogy. So like that is a great thing that this show did, I think.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Sorry, Jeff, you were going to say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say the scene where um, half his mask is cut off and the voice is distorted and is switching back between Hayden and James Earl Jones. Holy shit, that is
Yeah.
so good,
And then
man.
the
Every
lights, the light, like whenever he has the Vader mask, it's all red, and and you see a little bit of blue in the eyes. And whenever his
yeah,
mask gets slashed off, you got the red on one side and the blue kind of flashing on the other. Like it's
I
just
didn't even
like
notice that. That's really intriguing. I got to go back and watch it now. Yeah, that whole like that was what I was there for. That back and forth between these two actors who haven't worked in 20 years together, and then just the characters they're supposed to play in and of themselves. That's why just hearing the "What have you become?" Like the delivery was so perfect. Like you could feel it. You forget you're watching a show, and when his response to him later on is I'm or right afterwards, I am what you made me. But then even every time they interact, just it's like you have to stop what you're doing. You have to just watch those scenes. And even when Hayden's Anakin's face is slashed, that response he gives, "I am not your failure," or he says, "Anakin is gone. I'm what remains." And he just says, "I am not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did." It's like even after he's lost the fight, it just showed how much Anakin has been consumed by the dark side that he still wants to fight. The anger has consumed him that much, and it just really brought Revenge of the Sith and this show just full circle. And I think haters of the prequel might, you know, be left with a different taste in their mouth after watching this.
yeah, actually we were in a interview we're releasing, or maybe it's already released by the time this goes up. We spoke with somebody who worked on. Is it okay to say this, Jeff?
it is. We did a very special episode with a very
Wh-
special guest. We will
Who,
release very soon,
can,
but
can I? Can I?
he did work on the sequel trilogy. We can say that.
The prequel
Okay.
trilogy, prequel trilogy.
The sequel, Skywalker, Rise of
Oh yeah,
Skywalker, Last Jedi,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
Force
yeah. You're
Awakens.
right. You're right.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
but we were talking to him about some things, and I've told him like the Obi-Wan, for me at least, and I think a lot of people, has made the prequel series even better. And it's just something that I think he definitely agree. He said he hasn't seen it yet or something like that, right? But he's going to work on
mhm,
seeing it. But
yeah,
I think he was more excited about it hearing that, because that was something that he big fan of Star Wars, right?
yeah. It's a really cool interview. I'm like really excited for you guys to hear that one. But I think we should transition into characters in this show. Yes, it is that, Gerald. You are correct. Um, but yeah, there's a lot to choose from here. I, I'm just gonna run down my top five real quick on the top of my head without even thinking of it. So it might get weird. Obi-Wan is, I think, my favorite character in this show. Obviously, you spend the most time with him. Um, it makes you appreciate the prequels more, which I said at the beginning of this episode. But man, he is the perfect guy for um, this role, and for kids like us who grew up with the prequels. I think that this is the ultimate portrayal of Obi-Wan for us, and I think maybe you guys would agree with me. But that's why he has to be number one for me. Two is going to be Leia, in the young actress that plays her. I just loved her in this, and I just think it really added to the lore of Leia. So I loved everything that she brought to the show. I'm gonna do Hayden at number three. Number four, I think I'm going to do Kumal Nanjiani's character. I love that dude, and I wanted to see more of him. Just his arc from episode two, and then he's helping out with, I guess they're the rebels at the end. So I liked him at number four. Number five, I like Uncle Owen, honestly. And Aunt Beru could be an honorable mention as well, but they really fleshed out those two characters from Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and brought a different dimension to them. So that'll be my top five.
My top five are very similar in the sense of Ian McGregor definitely stopping off number one of Obi-Wan. To me, this Obi-Wan seems like the kind of guy that could have trained someone who became Darth Vader, you know? And that's not a knock on the original trilogy Obi-Wan, I don't think at all, because I feel like, when you didn't really get to see this side of him, the side that does the lightsaber battles, the side that does all this adventurous stuff, who led a full life. And this kind of makes that whole thing feel full circle, like you said. Two, Vivian Lyra Blair as Leia. Damn, she was great. There's some questions, obviously, with like the way the it's only 9 years away from when she's help us Obi-Wan, your only hope. But I mean, she did obviously know who he was, right? So there's a few things on that one. Hayden Christensen, I just wish we got more of him. But mine's different. Is like I like Moses Ingram's Inquisitor, third sister. I thought she was good. I just thought that like some of the choices her character made were weird, and I wish that we got more. So I think it's a mark of what an actress does well. If like even if you know that she's being short staffed, you still want to see more of that. And then five, like Kumail. I mean, there's really nobody else that gets that fleshed out. Honestly, to me, no one else that I really like. He was kind of fun. He was funny. Didn't Obi-Wan give him a lightsaber at the end?
Yeah, I think he did. I don't know what that was about, but let's see. Maybe there's going to be a season two.
Yeah.
He was definitely in the top five. So I can't go from my favorite to lowest, but if I had to, I'd have to give it to Darth Vader just because I really just like the character so much. I guess I identify more with the fallen characters, and knowing that he still hasn't hit rock bottom in this part. He's still like, in the falling phase. It just really, you kind of, you fear him. You start learning how to fear him a little more. You learn that he's already done his shit, but it seemed like Hayden Christensen's portrayal of Darth Vader in the prequels versus in the episode 4, 5, and 6, the actual movies, it seemed like he wasn't as composed. You know what I mean? Like, because he's still a young Darth Vader, he's a lot more angrier. He has a lot less patience, and he's still very impulsive. And so he's definitely number one. Number two, of course, Obi-Wan, because like Jeff said, there's nobody better than Ewan McGregor. Like you just can't. I also got to give it to third sister. But I wish that her character didn't seem so forced. I liked Kumail Nanjiani, but also one character you guys didn't mention, Roken,
Oh yeah.
who was played by Ice Cube's son. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
was psyched when he showed up there. So was Peyton actually. So
Yeah, no, I was like, oh my God, is that Ice Cube's son? Good for him. He's got work. This is big for him. I'm just like, this is awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was all my five. I my least favorite was just Leia, just because her character was just so annoying. Where are we going? Shh! I just saved you. Shut up. Who are you? How do I know? They're coming for you now? You're the reason why I got kidnapped? Girl, I just saved your life. Shut the heck up. I just didn't like her. I was like, she's a little brat. Emily, my wife she could hear in the background her whining. And she just goes, girl, shut the hell up. She's not even watching it, but even she thought it was annoying.
yeah, I could definitely see that. But what did we think of Qui-Gon Jinn? We have not talked about his appearance yet. I
I'm
thought
annoyed that
it was so random. I thought it's just like, hey, look,
it,
here's Qui-Gon in the middle of the desert, and guess what? He's a ghost, but he aged 10 years,
yeah.
15 years.
It's like he's a ghost, but he aged.
Yeah.
And And it only took 9 years before he actually makes an appearance to Obi-Wan, even though he could have
Yeah.
used him in the time span before.
Could have used
But
him a lot of times. He never reappeared in the prequel
he
trilogy.
called
Like,
out to him throughout this show. Master, I could
yeah,
really use you right now. That's why whenever he saw him and he's like, "Oh, I've been here this whole time. You just weren't ready." What the hell do you mean I wasn't ready?
You're
yeah,
just doing
no.
ghost shit this whole time. Come on, man. The story could have been simplified.
Filing ghost taxes and shit.
Yeah.
He was just like these ghost jobs be busting. Oh no.
Uh,
Oh, fuck.
but no, I did like that they showed him. I just I wish it wasn't at the last, like, not even 5 minutes of the episode, because naturally we're gonna want to see more of that. We're gonna want to see more of even the guy who plays Palpatine, the Emperor.
Oh
That would
yeah.
have been, knowing that he came back. I would have liked to see more of him.
Pelpy's always
Yeah.
coming back. He's always
Yep.
there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more Qui Gon
Oh,
Jinn, less Palpatine.
yeah. It's just like it felt to me like they had finished shooting everything, and then they like saw some kind of Reddit rumor where people were mad that there was a rumor going around that they weren't going to have it, so they just shot it real quick, threw it at the end, and said, "There, they won't be mad now."
Here,
Because like
put
it
this
just
Well,
put this wig on right
and
now.
and Liam Neeson, it's not like Liam Neeson would have said no to the role. I have
I mean,
reason
he
to
might have.
believe. No, I swear I read somewhere that he actually enjoyed what he did. He was proud of the prequels. So I can't imagine it would have been hard for them to go, "Hey Liam, do you want more money?"
Hey, you know one thing this series did do? It also ignored the midichlorian count.
Midichlorian guy.
So
That's right.
the
You gotta what?
whenever
You need a certain midichlorian count to become a Jedi. Is that what it is? Is that what it
it's
was,
something like
Joe?
that, like
Yeah.
his midichlorian count are through the roof.
Yeah,
Never seen. He's the chosen one.
well, it was like that, and I thought he had killed all the people that had lightsabers. And whenever we watch episode 4, of the movies, it seems like lightsabers are so rare, like they're almost non-existent, and yet the Grand Inquisitors have them. And maybe that's just because I'm not, as enveloped with Star Wars, the books and everything like that. So can someone please explain why that is?
All I know is there are a lot of lightsabers buried in Tatooine. They are everywhere.
Right?
That's what everyone does. So if you want one, you just get a metal detector and you go out in the desert and you find one. But as far as like the canon version of it, I'm not entirely sure. I guess all the Jedi get wiped out in between those 9 years, or we just don't see him, and then Yoda's chilling out in his swamp planet. I guess. Um,
You know, one
I'm glad you brought that up. Real quick, Gerald. Do you think it would have been cool to have seen Yoda in this show?
I think a potential season two. I think we could. Yeah, I think Yoda would be cool. Um, I also think Darth Maul would be cool because we know that dude's alive too. So
and they've
any
been
one of
teasing
those.
him.
Yeah.
There was one thing I wish the show did, and was it the last episode where Vader buries Obi-Wan underneath all the rock and the rubble and the dirt? I just wish, like, when he walked away, he would have said, like, sand, it gets everywhere, and then walks off or something. like you should have just, like, let Anakin make a freaking joke. Um, no, but another thing that I did actually like, I'm going to talk about is, like, to me, Darth Vader and the other ones, like, he was a big, imposing figure, but, like, it was always, like, how did he get from, like, Anakin's small, tiny figure to losing a bunch of body and then all of a sudden being, like, a giant? And I thought, like, his slender figure in this one, like, his was more imposing, actually. He was a little detail that, like, maybe not a lot of people noticed, but he seemed swifter, like he was an actual threat with a weapon.
Yeah, he wasn't just so lumbering like he was in the original. The original lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, this is a hot take, is the worst lightsaber fight in the entire series. It
It's
is
not
the
even a
worst.
hot take anymore. That is
Yeah.
actually a cold pizza take. That is a cold college pizza like on a Monday morning before class take. Because at this point, I think everybody agrees like the lightsaber battles from the original trilogy weren't that great.
No.
Like it's been like the last one, like yeah, like Darth Vader's and Obi-Wan's like their final battle. Like you know what? If they told me that like the end, like they would do Obi-Wan series through and then like do a time jump, and you the only time thing you see is like a redo of that battle, and they're gonna reshoot the whole damn thing. Fine, do it. Let there be a better battle between the master and the former, like the former master and the turned Padawan. Like
They
let's
See,
should do that.
let us redo it. Let us redo it, please.
see, but I think that in and of itself, because even though it's backwards the way they filmed it, if you watch it, you can kind of understand now that, oh yeah, they're supposed to be like super super old, so you can kind of give them a little bit more credit. And even the fight between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, that's pretty questionable, but that's just because one, Darth Vader is hella old, and nobody really taught Luke how to fight. So that's why the choreography is so terrible. At least now that's what I'm thinking, and maybe that's just me thinking out loud. But it seemed like there was more um, parkour, if you will, in the fight scenes,
Yeah.
and that's just because everybody and their mom was trained to be such a badass fighter. Um, but yeah, I get what you mean. He was a little bit more lumber, but that goes back to my point about how you kind of see Vader as young and he's a lot more menacing just because he's just scary, or he's asserting himself more as a force to be reckoned with. Like people are running, whereas I'm sure in his old age they're like, it's too late. There's no point in running. He's already here.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, yeah, I agree with everything you said because from Rogue One to what we have now, we've gotten some of the best Vader stuff we've ever gotten. He's scary. He's menacing. The dude just shows no mercy, and I really like that about the Disney Star Wars era that we're in right now.
Yeah,
Um,
like give me more of that. I want him to be dark Batman,
for
just
sure.
willing to murder and just terrifying as hell in all black. Like that's all I want.
Yeah,
I mean, this
but
dude ran like when he ran like in what was it, second episode, third episode, when like he
Third
ran through
episode.
an entire neighborhood and just like force murdered people. Like not even lightsaber murdered people. Like was just with his mind. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. Like fuck you, eat ass. Like they just down a whole damn neighborhood, and like didn't give a single shit. Like that is great. Give me more of that because like you hear all these terrifying things about him through Star Wars lore, and like to be quite honest, he wasn't. To me, he's not the most terrifying villain out there if you just consider the original trilogy.
See, but
yeah,
I think that's a testament to our time because I don't think in the '70s they could make him that frightening because he would, people I don't think were ready. I mean, you watch like the first Batman, hell, even the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the '90s. A lot of reviews were like, "Oh, it's too gritty, it's too dark." That's why Secret of the Ooze was more colorful and funny. So I think audiences are ready to see that menacing, almost serial killer level of um, power in Darth Vader. That's why nobody was protesting in 2003 when you saw Anakin Skywalker hold a lightsaber up to a kid's face.
yeah,
We all know what happened. We didn't need to see it, but we
Yeah,
saw it in the first episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I
yeah,
think, but I think even still, they had that disclaimer like some scenes might be upsetting to some viewers.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, they have, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, give me like a Michael Myers, Darth Vader show. Holy crap, I'll watch the hell out of it. We'll write it for you, Disney. I know you watch the show, so keep that in mind. But I think we should go to our final grades of season one or whatever you want to call it. I think I'm going to do an all star. There are problems with this show, like we laid out, but it's solid. And if you like the prequels, which I did like the prequels a lot, and that was technically my era of Star Wars, I think you're going to love this show. So um, that's where I stand. Uh, What about you guys?
I'm sticking with All Star because of we spent this is a 30-minute podcast now. I know we spent 10 minutes giving a lot of grief to this movie, at least because we like 9 minutes before we actually moved on from our gripes phase. So we definitely it has its flaws, but it has a lot of great things going for it. It makes you like the prequels more. It gives you a deeper look into Darth Vader's past and Obi-Wan's past. Um, it does a great job of all that, and it gives you some good character stuff too. It does make a lot of questions into the Star Wars lore. I mean, this is only 10 years from now, and he just met Luke, but I was unaware that Luke ever met him. Like, it didn't seem like Luke knew who he was. So, and I mean, like, they could be like the Luke's young, but like from 10 to 19, like you would think you remembered if you met an old man who lived out in the desert. Um, you know what I mean, though. Um, at least like known, like because he was like, "Who are you?" instead of being like, "Oh, is it you, Obi-Wan?" So like, there's
It's
some
like
some
that dude gave
questions.
you a present,
Yeah, but
Remember
the
this
but
guy.
the show also it also makes me want to have more because I want to see more of Third Sister. I want to see more of what Obi-Wan does next. How is he going to protect them in the future? Because Third Sister now knows the secret, the big secret that like Luke himself doesn't know for like another 10 years. So like, what does she do with that? Because she's still dead set on revenge, and that means she's still susceptible to the dark side. Very clear. So like, what happens? I don't think there's a way we don't get a season two. I think the Qui-Gon thing kind of hinted at it, right?
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, like we have a lot to talk about or something.
can't end
So
it on that. You can't
like
just show us
yeah,
later pieces and
yeah.
that's it.
So and that's what's great about this Star Wars in general. It's always been like that. Whether it was the original series, I mean that trilogy left a lot to be desired, and obviously we got the prequels, and which gave us the Mandalorian and this and Boba Fett, and everything else. So yeah, like of course at the end of this, I want more. So I will take more. Thank you, sir.
I initially was thinking maybe starter, but then I was going back between starter and Hall of Fame, and I think I'm settled on All Star as well, only because you brought up something really something that I didn't think about, Gerald. You brought up a really good point, saying third sister knows this big secret, and I was just like, oh yeah, technically, Anakin doesn't know that he has kids yet. I want to know how he's going to freaking react whenever he finds this out. What does he do with this information? Um, and what is that going to do to him and Obi-Wan's even more fractured relationship that ultimately leads to that final showdown in the sequels, episode 4? Because clearly this isn't going to be the last time they meet. If it is, then we have a lot of holes that need to be filled, gaps that need to be bridged. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna settle with All Star just because I liked what Gerald?
Nothing, nothing. Just keep going.
I'm gonna settle on All Star just because I'm seeing it for the visuals. I'm seeing it for the zoom zoom, and just to see more of Obi Wan and Anakin. I got what I was there for. Like I've gotten what I asked for, so I can't complain too much. But the things I will complain on are just why isn't there more of Hayden Christensen? Why isn't there more of these stronger dialogues between the two, aside from the "you should have killed me when you had the chance," "you suck," "you're weak," "you're an old man," "I'm more powerful than you." Kind of. I would have liked to see like a something along the lines of um you let me down, you're the one who betrayed me, or something like that. You have a kid. You killed Padme. Something.
And be like an episode of Maury when he finds out he has kids. It's like, oh my god,
He all of a
what?
sudden like takes the mask off. He's like, "Come to Papa." He just gets all excited.
Or alternatively, he takes him out. That baby looks nothing like me.
That baby looks nothing like. Oh no. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I would have liked to see a little bit more of that because of that dialogue between the two of them. Um, because Obi-Wan had hinted to Leia that he knew. Well, actually, he didn't even hint. He told her straight up he knew her parents. You're blah blah blah, like your mother. You're blah blah blah, like your father. And I guess I kind of wish I would have known a little bit more about Padme, and maybe to even see like the ghost of Natalie Portman. You know, Natalie Portman as a ghost. I mean, the ghost of Natalie Portman.
What
No,
kind of no, dude? She's doing ghost shit. She's too busy.
he's too busy doing
Holding,
ghost shit. Yeah.
holding the Thor
See,
hammer, just holding the
um,
Thor hammer.
but then she would have had to been a Jedi. I think
Mm.
some
Yes.
Jedi.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and I mean, she just boned a Jedi. She wasn't an actual Jedi. You know, I mean, it's you don't just become that. So it's not how that works. At least not
Han
in that.
Solo technically boned a Jedi. I don't remember him becoming a Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, like his son just became a Sith Lord instead. Actually, you know what?
We're not going to talk about Kylo Ren. I'm sorry. Today is not the day.
Kylo.
Skywalker family just kind of sucks, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you got a bunch of just assholes in that family.
Well, even Luke and like Luke almost killed his nephew, which I mean, what he turned out to be trash. But thinking of murdering a child, still a bad thing, And then like Leia, like I don't know. I mean, her. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I want to say there's something wrong with her. I don't. I really can't find anything though.
Leia was cool. Like Leia was
Yeah.
the best
So
one.
Leia was the no, not only the best one, but she's the best one by default. Like, there's nobody else.
Kylo sucks. Rey's not a real Skywalker. They're like, oh, we're just gonna adopt this 25-year-old girl at the end of the show. It's like,
No
okay,
one, no one adopted her. She just entered the family, thinking she had
Yeah.
access to it. Like, no, girl, there's a
Leia,
hierarchy. You got to betray people first. Then,
yeah,
Leia is Batwoman. Like, she's not a Wayne. It's Kate Kane. Like, Leia is Kate Kane. She just decided to put on the suit one day and say, "I am Skywalker," and we're accepting it, I guess now.
I mean, we could go on and on about the Skywalker family. But yeah, Kylo Ren. I got some thoughts, but that's for another podcast.
pretty sure you and I will see eye to
Hey,
eye on that.
I have one more thing to say. Disney,
Time's up.
when you do this, the next time you have a season, do not release this and a Marvel show at the same time on the same day. Like,
Yeah,
give
that's
us a
true.
day off. I
Yeah.
can't sit, like, that's 2 hours I have to commit to your app. And, like, come on.
Can't you
Come on,
just be like
Disney.
Netflix and just release all the episodes at once so we can just binge watch them and love them the next
I mean,
day?
I like the release schedule. I just
I
don't like
kind of
that
like
they
it.
release it at like 1 in the morning my
Yeah.
time.
Release schedules like this, I think, actually work better because it keeps it more in the conversation longer. We end up doing podcasts by the week or podcast by the 3 weeks, and it's be reviewed all the time. It's talked about on Twitter. Whereas, like, Stranger Things is trending right now, and it's going to trend until the end of July, but then it will not be talked about for a year or 2 years or 3 years even. Um, it's the advertising has a very limited spot, so like this is a very good thing for TV, I think, and it gives the actors more time to really soak up the financial gain from it, I think.
Yeah, but you're right. They should have spaced out this and Miss Marvel.
Yeah, by at least a few days, please.
Next time.
Well, I mean, Miss Marvel's still releasing episodes, so we got time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I'm
true.
watching that tonight at midnight.
There
Yep.
you go.
That recap's coming soon for sure.
West Coast life is the best life. That time comes out at midnight, not at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. or 1
Yeah.
a.m. I get like midnight. That is great.
Hey,
Yeah.
Gerald,
It's the
shut
best
up.
thing about it.
No one likes a braggadocious person.
Okay, master's degree in the background.
We'll get another sunburn.
Master's degree in the background.
You,
Yeah,
you gotta
you
flex.
know what? They taught me in grad school how not to get a sunburn in 78 degrees.
Dude, yes. I turned it. I guess like what is it? The colons are real. because I'm over here turning into one, just becoming a white, sparkly person who can't deal with the sun.
Yeah. You come back to the South like me and Jeff, and really
Yeah.
just feel it. Just feel it.
No, dude, I'm going to Texas this weekend. I'm not looking forward to the heat.
I'll bring a fan for you at the airport.
All right, guys. Um, yeah. Anything else you guys want to add before we get out of here?
If there is a season two, I don't think we're going to see any new or any of the old people that we like Kumail Nanjiani. But I would hope we see more like all-star cameos, like superstar cameos.
For sure. That I agree with that too. Yeah, this was another fun episode. We will be back with a special episode that Gerald mentioned earlier, and we will be talking about Miss Marvel here in the next few weeks. For Ahmed, for Gerald, I am Jeffrey Gordon. Thanks for joining us tonight. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Check us out on our website, boxofficeqbs.com. But until then, you guys have a great week.